Formlabs regularly releases updated firmware to fix bugs and improve functionality. Check your printer's firmware to ensure you're always up to date. As long as a Formlabs printer has an active internet connection, it can receive notification prompts about new firmware updates becoming available upon their release. Accept the prompts and tap Install on the firmware update screen to stay up to date. To check a printer's current firmware version, tap Settings, Firmware Update. For older printers, tap Settings, System, Firmware Update. Download the latest firmware version for your Formlabs SLA printer with Preform, then upload and install the firmware file on your printer. Review the firmware release notes to learn more about the improvements that come with each version's release. First, open the latest version of Preform. Connect the printer to the computer via Wi-Fi, USB, or wire the printer to an Ethernet network. Open the Job Setup window. Select the printer you wish to update. Click Firmware Update in the Job Setup panel. Click Update. Preform begins to download the latest firmware to your computer. Follow the on-screen instructions to download the latest firmware and then upload the file to your printer. From here, the printer may automatically recognize you have sent a firmware update. Tap Install on the printer's touchscreen to finish the installation. If you are not prompted to do so, you must continue the firmware update manually through the touchscreen. After the firmware update installs, wait for an automatic restart or confirm the restart on the touchscreen. If the printer is unable to complete an automatic firmware update or displays a decryption failed error, perform a manual firmware update using Preform. To perform a manual firmware update, select your printer's model from the list in the article Firmware Downloads and Release Notes. Download the firmware file and save it to where it can be easily found. Connect the printer to the computer via Wi-Fi, USB, or wire the printer to an Ethernet network. Open the latest version of Preform. Open the Job Setup window. Select the printer you wish to update. Click Firmware Update in the Job Setup panel. The Firmware Update window opens. Click Upload a file. A file selection window opens. Select the recently downloaded firmware file and click Open. Next, click Update. Preform will begin to upload the firmware file to your printer. Tap Install on the printer's touchscreen to finish the installation, or continue the firmware update manually through the touchscreen. Any version of firmware can be uploaded to your printer as long as it is compatible with your printer's model and the version of Preform you have installed on your computer. To revert back to an older version of firmware, check your printer's model type first. On the printer's touchscreen, access your printer's details by tapping Settings, General, and About this printer. For older printers, tap Settings, System, Printer Details. Check the version of Preform you have currently installed by clicking Preform, then About Preform in the menu bar on a Mac, or Help About Preform from the menu bar on Windows. Select your printer's model from the list in the article Firmware Downloads and Release Notes. Preform compatibility is noted in the What's New section when relevant to the release. Download the firmware version that is compatible with your printer and version of Preform you have installed. Update the printer using the recently downloaded firmware. If the touchscreen freezes during or after the firmware update, perform a power cycle to restart the printer. To power cycle the printer, flip the power switch or unplug the printer. Wait at least 30 seconds to ensure a complete power cycle. Reconnect the power cable and restart the printer. Attempt the update once again. If the printer reports insufficient space to install a firmware update, selectively delete one or more prints from the print queue. To delete all prints on a printer, tap Settings, System, Printer Details, Storage. Did this video help you get printing again? If so, please leave a like on the video and subscribe for more content. What video do you want to see next? Leave a comment telling us more.